Good day, sir. Good day, everyone. My name is Lloyd GG Auditor, BS Crim 3. Um, my topic is all about narrative therapy. Narrative therapy. This is the report content. Brief introduction, therapeutic goals, therapeutic relationship, therapeutic techniques and procedures. Brief introduction. Narrative therapy was developed by Michael White and David Epstein. The brief introduction, it holds the belief that a person's identity is formed by our experiences or narratives. Because the problem is seen as a separate entity from the person, a therapist can help a client internalize sensitive issues. Therapeutic goals is a general goal of narrative therapy is to invite people to describe their experience in new and fresh language. In doing this, they open up vistas of what is possible. At the at the core is the belief that the problem is separate and distinctly apart from the person. A problem does not define a person. A problem is something that a person has, not something that a person is. So, therapeutic relationship are characterized by collaborations, compassions, reflections, and discovery. The therapist uses authority, however, he or she treats clients as experts in their own lives. And as a facilitator and an investigator, the therapist passes questions that challenge prior concepts are and reveal maladaptive behaviors. And a client is given the opportunity to edit and rewrite the remainders of their story. Therapeutic techniques and procedures. When you asking question, use questions as a way to generate experiences rather than to gather information. Ask question from a not knowing position, meaning that they do not pose question that they think they already know the answer to. Therapists provide clients with an opportunity to explore various dimensions of their life situations. Therapist is instead interested in finding out how the problem first become evident and how they have affected clients' view of themselves. Therapeutic techniques and procedures, client will see that the problem can be separate from their identity or sense of self. Externalization techniques encourage clients to add a position to characteristic or behavior that they would like to change. Then, method is used to make the issue specific and manageable. It is difficult to solve problems when those problems are over generalized. This deconstructions techniques helps us to understand what the problem means to the client, and therapists will help clients to focus on life stories which are contrary to the problem's saturated narrative. And to rewrite self-defeating narratives means that clients will begin to allow positive storylines into their life. So, reflecting upon our life increases our reflective ability. Narrative therapy is a mindfulness tool which enables you to free to live in the moment and free to live within the storylines that you reflect upon. As a human beings, we want stories to make sense of the world. More noticeably, we tell stories to ourselves to make sense of our place in the world. So, we assign meaning to our experiences to better understand what is we're experiencing. It only makes sense, but it those meanings that make up the stories of our lives. They create our reality. So, what happens when the stories we tell ourselves are negative? How will we act in the world? What decisions will we make? Narrative therapy provides a way to control the chatter inside and rewrite silence and accountability back into our narrative and so back into our lives. So what is a narrative therapy? The narrative therapy is a therapeutic practice that can involve self-reflective writing for speaking to externalize the problems or events of our lives. The narrative we tell ourselves in order to examine them objectively. This externalization process helps us see the problems outside of ourselves, which invites us a level of self-awareness often lost when we're in the height of our personal problems. This is developed in 1980 by New Zealand-based therapists David Epstein and Michael White. They believed it was critical for individuals to see themselves separate from their issues. Narrative therapy is non-blaming in natures in order to make the problems of our lives more manageable to overcome. But by the same talk taken, it is practice that can keep an individual highly accountable for the future as they begin to unravel and get honest about the stories they've been telling themselves. This practice recognizes the client as the expert and an accountable and integral part of the way their future will unfold. Narrative therapy, for this reason, isn't concerned with diagnosis, and a therapist merely guides an individuals in the healing process. Narrative therapy replaces the now common online approach with a linguistic model. So, it states that knowledge is a consensual version of reality. It's product of interpersonal interaction and negotiation. So, apil ng negotiation, ana. According to this therapy, individuals develop meaning within the context of the discourse that sustains it. Therefore, our personal story, culture, and organizations were a part of our intimately related to our actions and what we build in relationship. Thus, we organize our lived experiences in the form of narration with a temporal sequence, intentions, meanings, and outcomes. For these reasons, narrative therapy understands therapy as a conversational process where clients and therapists co-construct new meanings, histories, possibilities, and solutions to the problem. Narrative therapy uses the narrative mode with therapeutic objectives. So, the narrative mode uses a point of view and a narrative voice for the presentation of literary or theatrically history. This narrative mode is a respectful and non-blaming approach. It should follow the maxim, people people are expert in their own lives. As we have said, narrative therapy seeks to create a respectful, non-blaming approach to therapy and community work. In addition, it sees the problem as a separate entity from the patient. It also assumes that people have many skills, competencies, convictions, values, commitments, and abilities that will assist them in reducing the negative